Bring soccer under the lights. Phoenix Rising has 3 big home matches in April. Join the action in Central Phoenix on April 12th, April 19th, and April 26th. And enjoy perfect weather for game night. Tickets start at just $15 with great packages for families and students. Don't miss the action. Learn more or get tickets at phxrisingfc.com. 3 matches, 1 mission. Let's rise together.
At Shane Company, we know getting engaged is a big decision. But once you know, you know. That's the way our customers feel when they choose a Shane Company engagement ring. They walk into a warm welcome and walk out with their dream ring, knowing they got it right. For almost 100 years, we've been offering personalized shopping experiences. And we're in it way past the honeymoon, with a free lifetime warranty that includes the center stone, cleanings, repairs, and resizing for life. Shop with us at shaneco.com or at your neighborhood store. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Fisher Tools is your one-stop shop for safety, job site storage, power tools, material handling, hand tools, and things you never knew you needed. If you work in the construction industry or trades, we are your place to shop. Fisher Tools is here to meet the needs of construction pros, facility maintenance, safety, and anyone that wants to have the tools to get the job done right. We carry Milwaukee, DeWalt, Makita, Proto, MSA, Knack, Steel, and so much more.
Hi, I'm Diane Fisher. From our humble beginnings in 1964 at the Phoenix Park and Swap to our 4-acre campus, located just south of Tempe Marketplace, south of Rio Salado, between 101 and McClintock. Fisher Tools has been building the valley for over 60 years. Come check us out and browse our huge selection of tools and anything you need to do the job right. We're also online at fishertools.com. KUPD listeners will receive 10% off their order when you mention this ad. Fisher Tools. If we don't have it, we can't sell it.
At Uline, the prevailing opinion is, if you don't live it, you don't believe it. The people at Uline believe in hard work, and they live it by being there 24/7 to answer your call, having 41,000 items in stock, and offering same-day shipping from 12 locations across North America. Business owners, sellers, buyers, shippers, and packers believe it. Uline is the hard-working, dependable source for your shipping and industrial supplies. Visit uline.com.
We're proud to introduce Prasada, the newest master plan community in the thriving West Valley. This beautiful community features open spaces, multiple parks, a resort-style pool, and so much more. Fulton Homes, you're proud to own, we're proud to build.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix. It's the lunch break.
Diamondbacks back in action tonight. We are less than 2 weeks away from the NFL draft. And what will the Suns do? Welcome into the Friday edition of the lunch break here on KDUS AM 1060, streaming on the KDUS AM 1060 app. You can watch the show on the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube live stream. Chris Schubert with you for the next 2 hours. Producer Evan is behind the glass, albeit the two of us a little distracted as we get the show underway today, because in the morning meeting, it was a lot of Masters Friday, keeping tabs on our guy, Rory. This was one of your picks, right? When you made your Masters
Rory
picks.
was my pick to win.
So he's having a big day for you. So we're keeping an eye on that. But don't worry, we still got a jam-packed show here for you today on the program. And we start with the basketball team. No, they didn't play last night. No, there's not a whole lot that has changed since we spoke yesterday, but there is a big decision that is coming, and I think it comes with a very important conversation.
Time for our top story of the day. It's the Daily Special.
The Phoenix Suns will have to make a decision. I think they will have to make a decision sooner rather than later when it comes to their head coach. They will have to decide what direction they want to go in with that next head coach. But it leads to a phrase that I was taught very early on in the sports radio business. I can remember as a young producer in sports radio, working on a morning show, discussing Michigan football and the struggles that Jim Harbaugh was facing there at Michigan, never being able to get over the hump, never being able to win that national championship. get Michigan back to glory. And we were debating in the office one day about firing Harbaugh and moving on. And I had a host of the morning show say something that has stuck with me since that moment. If you are going to fire Jim Harbaugh, you need to finish that thought. Fire Harbaugh and hire who? Who are you going to get to replace Jim Harbaugh? And that phrase wasn't uttered so that there was a name instantaneously that came to mind. It was a thought. It was a plan. It was the point that if you are going to make a coaching change, you need to be strong enough in your convictions that you have a roadmap that you are going to follow. And that same roadmap applies to the Phoenix Suns. It is one thing for us to say that the Suns need to make a coaching change. It is another to have a plan in place, to have a direction in place. The last 2 seasons, the Phoenix Suns have looked for head coaches with a championship pedigree. They've looked for coaches that could help get them over the hump. That is no longer the expectation surrounding this team. We have shifted the expectations. And I do want to spend some time today on the show discussing maybe what those new expectations should look like, what we think a reasonable outlook next year for this team could be. Because this year, failed expectations. Last year, failed expectations. So now we have to kind of reorder things. So I want to do that at some point here today on the show. But I want to start by focusing on the coach. Because I think we all are in agreement that the Suns should at least sit down and strongly consider making a coaching change yet again and hiring or having a 4th coach in 4 years for the 3rd straight offseason conducting a coaching search. But I think the reason why we are going to be on 4 coaches in 4 years is because the Phoenix Suns were never able to answer that question. If you are going to fire blank, who are you going to hire? Is the grass greener on the other side of firing Coach Bud? Is it a guarantee that you are going to be able to find somebody that is better than Coach Bud? And guess what? The Suns learned this lesson the hard way last year because they thought the grass was greener on the other side of Frank Vogel. They thought there was more to tap into with this roster than what Frank Vogel got out of it. 49 wins, a 6th seed, a first-round exit via a sweep by the Minnesota Timberwolves, a fractured relationship with one of the star players in Kevin Durant. The Suns brass got together and they thought, I know we just hired this guy, but we can do better. And I think the sample size is there to say, you didn't really do better. You didn't really have grass that was greener on the other side. So if you are going to make this move, you have to be able to answer the second part of the phrase. If not Coach Bud, then who? Now, this is not to say that I'm walking back what I said yesterday about making a coaching change. I'm still on board with making a coaching change. Why? Because I can answer that question. If not Coach Bud, then who? I can answer that question for all of you today. I don't just say anybody is better than Coach Bud. My answer is very clear. I want an ex-player. I want somebody on the younger side. I want somebody who has worked in player development or has worked with a G League team or a young national team. I want somebody who's been an assistant coach on an NBA sideline. I don't want to go to the old guard of coaches like this team has for the last 2 seasons. I don't want to go for a Michael Malone. I don't want to go for a Coach Bud or a Frank Vogel. I don't want to go to that type of coach. I want somebody on the younger side. I want somebody that's going to be more of a player's coach. I want somebody who has had a hand in player development because that's where this team is going to be for the next couple of seasons. It is going to be a roster that after being in win now mode is probably going to skew more towards the younger side of things, that is going to skew more towards the untapped potential side of things outside of Devin Booker. You're going to have guys on this roster like Ryan Dunn, who's only going to be in year 2. Oso Ighodaro, who's only in year 2. You're going to have a rookie from this draft class. You may pick up some young players in the Kevin Durant trade. You're going to have a roster of a lot of new that have to gel. I want somebody who has a history of doing that. And why I can say the grass is greener on the other side of Coach Bud isn't that type of coach. Coach Bud isn't the coach that is going to be able to maximize this next chapter of Suns basketball. He is not the guy that fits that mold. And you know what? If you put all of those qualifications on a list, if you look for an ex-player, if you look for somebody who's an assistant coach on a winning basketball team right now that was built somewhat in the way in which the Suns are going to have to rebuild this thing or retool this thing over the next couple of seasons, there are a lot of names that jump off the page. And so if not Coach Bud, then who? I mentioned Tiago Splitter yesterday on the show, but there are a whole host of assistant coaches that you can go out there and find to where your vision of what this roster is going to look like is going to match your coaching staff on the sidelines.
Yesterday, you talked about, the return for the Kevin Durant trade, and that brings up an interesting question of the roster and what is the roster going to look like under a new coach? And so that leads me to ask you, would you be willing to make those trades first if you go out and get a new general manager, then make the Kevin Durant trade, then make the Beal move, have a better idea of what your roster looks like before you make a coaching hire?
No, the order on this is really easy for me. I have to make a decision with my general manager first and foremost. I have to decide whether or not James Jones is coming back. I have to decide whether or not I'm going to ask for a shakeup in the front office. If I do that, if I make that move, if I want to get a new voice in the president of basketball operations department, then I am almost guaranteed to be getting a new head coach. So that comes swiftly after that. I don't want to miss on all of these other candidates. There may be a candidate out there that looks at the Suns job, that looks at being able to coach Devin Booker, that looks at some of the young pieces that may be coming in, that are expected to be coming in when you make a Kevin Durant trade, when you draft this summer. And that person may be motivated, may be excited, may embrace that challenge. I don't want to miss on that person because we never make the phone call or we never bring them in for the interview because we want to wait to put the roster together or we want to wait to see what we get back in Kevin Durant. You need to pick your team building philosophy. You need to decide the direction that you want this franchise to go in. You need to decide what this roster is going to look like next season, not the specific players, but what types of players are you looking for? Are you looking for players that help you more on the defensive end? Or are you looking for younger players that maybe are a little bit more hungry? Players that maybe have that attitude, that toughness that this team was clearly missing throughout the season? When this team got punched in the mouth, they did not respond. Other than Mason Plumlee getting into a brawl with Steven Adams, wasn't really a ton of fight from this team when adversity struck. That is a missing ingredient to this team. They need to find that this summer. They need to identify players that fit that culture because this culture needs a complete rebuild. And you know what? The extension of that culture is who you bring in as the head coach. I've seen Mike Budenholzer's culture. Not a fan. And so the Phoenix Suns have a choice to make. And the choice that they have to make is, do they think they can do better with another coaching search than Coach Bud? Or have they tainted the entire process by firing Monty and then going to Frank Vogel and then firing Frank Vogel and going to Coach Bud? And then if they fired Coach Bud and went to somebody else, that their pool of coaching candidates would be diminished because they have had so much turnover at that position? That's the question they have to answer. And to me, I think there are too many candidates that fit exactly what this team is going to need, that there is not a risk or a harm to making another coaching change. When you fire a championship caliber head coach and you try to find another championship caliber head coach, that's hard. That pool of coaches to pick from isn't very large. And it took the Suns 3 weeks to make a decision on Frank Vogel. So they were kind of behind the 8 ball anyway. And they very quickly pivoted to Coach Bud. So it screamed to me that they were only interested in making the move if Coach Bud was interested in taking the job. So it wasn't really like you conducted a full-blown coaching search this go around either. I think if you opened it up, if you expanded your horizons, if you interviewed everybody under the sun, you would be able to find somebody that checks all the boxes and is a better fit for what you are trying to do. So if not Coach Bud, then who, right? Everybody wants to have this conversation with the Cardinals. I got to get rid of Kyler Murray. Got to get rid of Kyler Murray. He's not a franchise quarterback. Not a winner, I believe was the phrase producer Evan used yesterday on the program. Not a winner. Need to bring somebody else in. Okay, finish the thought. You don't just tell Kyler to pack his bags and get somebody else. Who is that somebody else? Not a lot of names come to mind in the quarterback market that are guaranteed to be better than Kyler Murray. When it comes to coaching, when it comes to solving this issue for the Phoenix Suns, I think there are plenty of options to where we are going to feel that they did a good job and got an adequate replacement. 480-864-1060 is the phone number for you to join us here today on the program. Also have you on the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube live stream where you can share your thoughts as well. When we come back, what does the betting market tell us about what the Arizona Cardinals might do with pick number 16? That's next on the lunch break. KDUS AM 1060.
Hey listeners, Vince Delisio here. In honor of Pat's run, this week is Pat Tillman Week on the Varsity Sports Show. Join us Saturday morning as we broadcast live next to the statue inside the north end of Mountain America Stadium. In addition to our amazing live guest coaches joining us, our team will be presenting stories about Pat Tillman. It's the Varsity Sports Show, Pat Tillman Week, Saturday morning from 9 to 11 on AM 1060, KDUS, Arizona.
Breaking news coming in from Bet365, and it's no surprise. Same game parlay from Bet365 just keeps getting better.
Well, it's even easier to make a bet. Choose from the most popular markets like hits, run line, totals, and home runs. So many to choose from.
Download the app, start building your bet, and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Arizona. T&Cs apply.
When we say jumbo, we mean jumbo shrimp. Del Taco's Jumbo Shrimp Tacos are packing serious flavor. Crispy jumbo shrimp wrapped in a warm flour tortilla with crunchy cabbage, zesty pico de gallo, and our savory secret sauce. Get 2 jumbo shrimp tacos stuffed with big shrimp energy for just $6. That's right, get 2 jumbo shrimp tacos for just $6, only at Del Taco. But hurry, this offer's here for a limited time. Price and participation may vary.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you've been injured in a car accident, call America's largest injury law firm. For over 35 years, my mission has been to deliver more for our clients, to deliver more for you. Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Rock legend Billy Idol. Live in Phoenix. Billy Idol. It's a nice day to tour again. With very special guest Joe Jett and the Blackhearts. Live at Talking Stick Resort Amphitheater, April 30th. Get tickets now at livenation.com. Part of the America First Credit Union Concert Series.
Catch the Spring and Bloom event at Whole Foods Market with savings for Easter, casual gatherings, and more. Save on no antibiotics ever meat, best of season spring produce, brunch favorites, sweets, and more through April 22nd.
Jim Rome here with your Rome Report. What an absolutely beautiful calamity that we saw in Luka's return to Dallas. And yes, it can be both those things. It was both beautiful for Luka and calamitous for the Mavs. And calamitous might not even be a strong enough word to describe how cataclysmic that was for that organization. Calamitous in that every single person in that building was ecstatic to see their beloved icon, whom they should have never traded, come back and stab the entire franchise in the heart after they stabbed him in the back. Meantime, beautiful for Luka in that he was completely overcome by the love and emotion, only to have one of the best games of his entire career. A night that may have marked the Lakers as legit contenders and may have buried the Mavericks organization for all of eternity. Hyperbolic? Maybe. Or maybe the night that Luka put the Mavs in the ground and jump-started another dynastic run for the Lakers. I'm Jim Rome.
O'Reilly! Check engine, ABS, or maintenance light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. The service is free and provides a report with solutions verified by ASE certified master technicians. And if you need help, we could recommend a shop for you. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why, when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The Varsity Sports Show live with Vince D'Alessio every Saturday morning from 9 to 11 a.m. Features all the local youth, high school, college sports, and more, both around the Valley and beyond. Enjoy go-to segments with coaches and players from around the Valley. Tune in to the Varsity Sports Show with Vince and guests Saturday morning from 9 to 11 a.m. right here on KTUS AM 1060. Online at KTUS1060.com and the KTUS 1060 app.
Make sure you're listening on the KDUS AM 1060 app. You can listen for your chance to win 4 tickets to the Arizona Diamondbacks when they take on the Atlanta Braves on Saturday, April 26th at Chase Field. Get to that game early to get a Diamondbacks replica jersey courtesy of Casino Arizona and Talking Stick Resort. The first 25,000 fans at the game will get one. Get your tickets at dbacks.com/SGT. We are less than 2 weeks away, 13 days from the NFL draft, 13 days away from seeing what the Cardinals want to do with the 16th overall pick. And your guess is as good as mine. Producer Evan can make a guess. I can make a guess. You can make a guess. Anybody in this building could make a guess as to what the Cardinals are doing with the 16th overall pick. Nobody knows. But if there are people out there that I think do know more than we do, who are making more informed decisions, some informed guesses over the likes of us, it's the people in the betting markets. It's the people who bet on these things for a living. And so I decided to look at just one place today to see what the odds were. So in front of me, I have the odds according to DraftKings for the position of the first drafted player for the Cardinals. Now, they phrase this way just in case the Cardinals move up or move back. The first position that the Cardinals take in the draft will be what? Now, Producer Evan, I know that I was the one that brought this up in the morning meeting. Have you looked at these odds at all? Have you seen these?
I am looking at them
okay.
currently.
So
yes, I've seen these.
I was going to quiz you to see if you could guess. But if you've seen these already, we'll just talk about them. The overwhelming favorite, plus 175 for the first position taken by the Arizona Cardinals in the draft, is defensive line edge. So somebody along that front line. You then have offensive lineman at plus 200, cornerback at plus 300, and then wide receiver and linebacker at plus 600. Everything else is plus 2,000 or more. If you want to get in on the kicker, punter, long snapper game, you can. That's plus 25,000. If you're so inclined to make that your pick for what the first position the Cardinals will take is. So defensive line edge, plus 175. Offensive lineman, plus 200. Cornerback, plus 300. Wide receiver and linebacker, plus 600. This feels very in line with the way we've talked about the board at 16. Feels like it lines up almost perfectly with the positions of need, the positions that we think are going to be there at 16. There's nothing outside of the box here, right? Tight ends plus 7,500 because we know they're not taking a tight end. This lines up almost perfectly with the way we think the board is going to line up. Now, the question you have to ask yourself, it's a question that I have. Do they feel pressed to take an edge or a defensive lineman if one of the top 2 wide receivers is available? If Will Johnson slides to them at 16? If one of the top 2 or 3 offensive linemen, for whatever reason, are there at 16? Because the bet that this is making here is there's more defensive line players and there's more edge players. So there's a better chance that the top end talent at those positions are there at 16. If Will Johnson is off the board at 16, the Cardinals are not taking a corner. Corner is only on here because of Will Johnson. Wide receiver is only on here because of T-Mac and Matthew Golden. If for some reason both of those guys are gone before 16, the wide receiver odds plummet.
Where I can't imagine is that the receiver odds are plus 600. I think there's good value in that, actually, especially if they don't move back. But I think a lot of these odds are saying they're going to move back. I think the defensive lineman being your overwhelming favorite means you're going to move back. Offensive lineman just behind that. Corner, we've talked about it. If Will Johnson gets to you at 16, but I can't believe that it's plus 300 compared to receiver with a guy like Golden, who we've talked about as a great fit for this offense. And we've seen multiple people have Golden mocked to the Cardinals. If they sit at 16, can't believe you can get plus 600.
Yeah, that stuck out like a sore thumb to me when looking at the odds this morning. That wide receiver was plus 600. That felt like you kind of sprinkle a couple dollars on that.
It's great value.
And you just hope that Matthew Golden is the pick at 16. Just to compare, right? The Cardinals defensive line edge is their favorite at plus 170. The Rams offensive line and corner are both plus 225. For the Seahawks, they have an even longer favorite. Offensive lineman minus 105 for them. And then the 49ers, offensive lineman plus 150, corner plus 240, defensive line edge plus 265. So you see how the rest of the division plays out. But the odds are pointing you towards the group that is the deepest of all the groups that we're talking about. It's also 2 positions, which I think is a little unfair. You're lumping in the edge guys with the defensive linemen. That feels like you're cheating a little bit. But also, we know that this has been a priority for this team all offseason long. So it's kind of the easy bet to say, yeah, they're going to double down and take somebody with their first-round pick because the group needed a major overhaul. They did part of it in free agency. They're going to do part of it in the draft. But I think there's some sneaky value with plus 600 at wide receiver. I think there's some sneaky value at plus 600 with linebacker, to be honest. If Jahad Campbell gets there, he could be a guy that they run to the podium for.
You and I both really like Campbell, and I do too. And I think that he is a guy that can do multiple things for this defense, kind of the way we talked about Jalen Walker. But Jalen Walker, you need to fall. Like, you do not need Jahad Campbell to fall. And I think even if you trade back a few spots, you could be in a position to take him. I wouldn't be surprised if they take a linebacker. I think there's good value in that, similar to how there's good value in receiver.
Yeah, there's no good value outside of that. Like safety, they're not taking a safety. They're not taking a running back. They're not taking a tight end. They're not taking a quarterback.
I would sprinkle a couple dollars on wide receiver and linebacker just to see those pay out. I really don't think it's that much of a long shot. Like, I don't think they're guaranteed to take an edge guy compared to taking a linebacker.
No, I think I would weight these positions very close to one another, honestly. I don't think – the defensive line edge conversation is obviously the big one because they just need so much work there and they've spent so many dollars in free agency on it. But I don't think that if I was creating a pie chart of the percentage that they are going to take this position, I don't think I would put defensive line edge higher than 35% of the time they take somebody in that. It could be 20% across the board for defensive line edge, offensive lineman, corner, wide receiver, linebacker. Like, it could be that close. Maybe linebacker's a little less, and offensive lineman and wide receiver pick up some of that percentage. But I can make a strong, reasonable case
for the first 4 positions: defensive line edge, offensive lineman, corner, wide receiver. But the problem with corner and wide receiver, and to a certain extent linebacker, is it's one guy at all those positions. If Will Johnson's not there, they're not taking another corner. They don't have a backup corner plan, right? Wide receiver. If it's not Matthew Golden, I don't think it's going to be T-Mac. I don't think he fits what they want to do. So I think if it's not Matthew Golden,
it's Golden or bust at receiver.
Right.
I think.
So that's where you start to play this game of you're betting on one guy. You're betting on one specific outcome, right? To make the meme from one of my favorite movies, Avengers Endgame, where Doctor Strange holds up the one finger, where there's the one outcome. There's one outcome for wide receiver. There's one outcome for corner. It's Will Johnson or it's Matthew Golden. Offensive lineman, defensive line edge, there's more names there available to me. And that's why those are the 2 positions that are the heavy favorites. So, and here's the other reason why I wanted to bring this up. This is a marker 2 weeks out. And I don't know if you'll see a major shift with a team like the Cardinals who pick 16. But just for argument's sake, let's look at something real quick. Do you know what the top position is for the Browns with the number 2 pick? Do you know who the favorite is for the number 2 pick right now?
It's Carter.
The number 2 pick is Travis Hunter. He's minus 300 to go number 2. Carter's at plus 210. The reason why I bring this up, pay attention to those odds. If those odds change dramatically, somebody learned something. Somebody picked up some intel.
But have you looked at the Brown specific odds?
So they don't. So what I'm looking at right now does not have Brown specific odds. It just has number 2 pick, number 3 pick, number 4 pick, number 5 pick. Let me go. It only goes down to 7.
It's interesting. I can't find a lot of the top teams on the odds, but from the teams that I have listed, do you want to hear something interesting?
Sure.
You know, as far as first player drafted, so taking long shots. So the Cardinals at plus 175. That's the 5th best odds you can get out of any of the teams for their first pick, meaning they really don't have an idea of where the Cardinals are going. The door is open. So you have the Rams who have better odds at plus 225 to take an offensive lineman.
Yep.
You have some other ones. Pittsburgh, I think their top one is plus 180 to take edge. You have, sorry, give me some of these. I'm just scrolling through here. Anyway, you have Chicago plus 230 is their top one to take a running back. And it's just interesting to see. New Orleans plus 200 to take quarterback. It's interesting to see where the Cardinals fall. And in reality, plus 175 feels like an overwhelming favorite if you just look at the Cardinals. But in the reality of the whole draft, it means that they're pretty unsure of where he's going.
Yeah, and I think this is part of what happens when you have a team like the Cardinals that pick in the middle of the draft. It's hard to gauge what position's going to be there and what position they need, and matching everything up together. It's harder the further down the board you go. It's easier towards the top because those teams basically have their pick from everybody. Teams like the Cardinals have to react, and so the Saints being plus 200 to take a quarterback and that being their top position, I do find very, very interesting. When we come back on the other side of the break, the Diamondbacks have gotten good starts their last 2 times out. Is that enough to make us think that they have found their groove? That's next, the lunch break, KDUS, AM 1060.
Ready to tackle each morning with the best sports information coming at you?
I'm going to take a logical approach.
Get that weekday mornings on KDUS AM 1060 from 6 to 9 a.m. with the Dan Patrick Show. Dan Patrick, the Danettes, sports icons, sports legends, celebrities, poll questions. The Dan Patrick Show has it all.
It's a crapshoot.
Be sure to lock your dials to AM 1060 or 100.7 HD2 from 6 to 9 a.m. Mornings just got better.
This story is about us.
A family called us recently after being told they had no case.
But we found evidence many others had missed and helped them win the largest car crash verdict in Arizona that year. Hiring the wrong lawyer can cost you everything.
Call the husband and wife law team first.
Graduating law school, we didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. Ultima had to give me her gas card just to drive home. We never could have imagined that one day we would have the largest injury firm in the world and $25 billion in money collected and counting. As good Catholics, we had 4 children fast. They all work in the firm today. our family protecting yours. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan, but our greatest gift was years away, grandchildren. Today we have 6 and counting. It's the greatest joy that we have ever experienced. I think about them all day long. Our family promises to protect your family should you need us. Call us. It's easy. Visit forthepeople.com and make sure you hug your grandchildren. God's final gift to us. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
Injured? Dial Pound Law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
9 Inch Nails. Live at Footprint Center, September 16th. Get tickets now at NIN.com. 9 Inch Nails, live in Phoenix. Peel It Back World Tour 2025.
Welcome to Disneyland.
Get excited to join the Disneyland Resort 70th celebration. Because it's not a celebration without you. With all the decor, the new character outfits, and dazzling shows. Everyone's excited to join. Delight in special 70th experiences, like an all-new World of Color show, the returning favorite Paint the Night Parade, and so much more. The fun starts May 16th, 2025, only for a limited time. So come join us for this once-in-a-lifetime celebration with a special ticket offer as low as $100 per day with a special 4-day, 1-park-per-day ticket. Total price $400. Valid May 16 through August 14, 2025. Park ticket and reservation required. Visit Disneyland.com/70 ticket offer for details. Offering subject to capacity restrictions and change without notice.
We're in Raising Cane's with the man that started it all.
Wait, are you the Yes Chef guy?
We got chicken fingers, crinkle cut fries, Texas toast, and their world famous cane sauce. We'll shed a tear right now.
Raising Cane's chicken fingers, one love.
Hey listeners, Vince DeLisio here. In honor of Pat's run, this week is Pat Tillman Week on the Varsity Sports Show. Join us Saturday morning as we broadcast live next to the statue inside the north end of Mountain America Stadium. In addition to our amazing live guest coaches joining us, our team will be presenting stories about Pat Tillman. It's the Varsity Sports Show, Pat Tillman Week, Saturday morning from 9 to 11 on AM 1060, KDUS, Arizona.
Sweating some big putts at the Masters during the break. Welcome back into the lunch break. KDUS AM 1060. We're sweating producer Evan's pick of Rory to win it. He had a tough par putt during that last commercial break that he walked in, apparently. So we're very excited here on the program, sweating out the Masters. We have had to sweat out the Diamondbacks starting pitching rotation at the beginning part of this season. Somewhat of a surprise that this has been a concern so far through 13 games. But the last 2 times out, it has looked a lot better for the Arizona Diamondbacks and for their starters, leading us to ask the question, have they found their groove? First, it was Merrill Kelly having his best start of the season, taking a start into the 7th inning, only allowing 2 earned runs over 6 innings in a win against Baltimore. And then it was Brendan Pfaadt's best start of the season. He throws 6 scoreless innings as they won the final game of that series, only allowed 4 hits, walked 2, struck out 3. So back-to-back starts, Merrill Kelly, Brandon Pfaadt to close out that Baltimore series, looking good, looking like the pitchers that we expect them to be. So has this group found its groove? And the hard part is I'd like to see us go through everybody in the rotation one time and everybody have a start like that to feel like we're back. I still think we're waiting for a good, solid Eduardo Rodriguez start. We obviously are still searching for a marquee Corbin Burnes moment, a vintage Corbin Burnes start. We are still looking for those 2 guys to do their part. And so I think once we get to the place where every single guy in this rotation has had one of those starts, right? Zach Allen had his against the Yankees. I would describe Brendan Pfaadt's last start against the Orioles as his marquee start. Merrill Kelly, I think he can be better, but he was good, his best start of the season. We're still waiting for those other two guys. And once I have every single guy in the rotation with that marquee tentpole start that we can all point to, right? With Zach Allen, we are going to compare every start that he has the rest of the way to that start against the Yankees. That's his best performance of the season. So you're going to say, how did he do compared to that? Was it like that start? Was he far off from that start? That is the litmus test. Until everybody puts something on the scoreboard that is a litmus test start, I'm not willing to say that this rotation has their groove. Their starting rotation ERA is not very good. I think it's 27th, 29th in baseball. I saw a stat this morning that showed that they are towards the back part of Major League Baseball when it comes to their starters ERA. I got to see one or two turns through where everybody is contributing the type of start that we expect from them. Do I expect everybody to do what Zach Allen did against the Yankees? No. Everybody has a different framework. Everybody has a different bar that they need to clear. Zach Allen has set his bar. Still waiting for Corbin Burnes to set his bar. Merrill Kelly, Brendan Pfaadt, I think they've set their bar with the way that they pitched against Baltimore, and Eduardo Rodriguez still has to do that. So I'm encouraged by what I'm seeing. I'm encouraged by Merrill Kelly bouncing back from his bad start. I'm encouraged by Brendan Pfaadt having a good start early on in the season. But until I see everybody do it, I won't say that this group has its groove, and I'm not willing to say that it is full steam ahead with this group just yet.
I have to agree 100%. I think this is the situation where you're excited about the start Pfaadt gave you. You're excited about the start Merrill Kelly gave you because it allows you to see that these guys have bounced back. Those starts aren't going to define their season. But you're right. You need to see a good start from Gallen. You need to see really Corbin Burnes come out and be dominant. And not dominant in a way where I need him to strike out 10 in 8 innings or anything like that. But I need to see his stuff be dominant. And to this point, I really haven't. It felt like in both starts, he's battled. I thought he gave you a better start in New York than he did in Washington, but he really still didn't have great stuff. I thought he was battling. And now we're at a point where I kind of need to see good stuff. Now you're 3 starts in your next start. It's time for the stuff to come out and really show your dominance and why you've been a Cy Young winner and why you were the best pitcher on a playoff team last year.
And this is the perfect series for us to answer all of those questions. Erod goes tonight. Burnes goes tomorrow. Gallen goes on Sunday. We could come in here on Monday when they have an off day before traveling to Miami and talk about a group, talk about a pitching staff that has turned the corner. Because let's just for a second say Erod has the start that we would like to see from him tonight, right? 6 innings, 3 runs or fewer, just a nice quality start, right? Burnes gives you the 7 innings, 1 run, strikes out 7 or 8, gives you that dominance. Gallen gives you something similar. We get to Monday, and I can now say before Tuesday when Merrill Kelly gets on the mound, every single guy there last time out had a great start. That's what you're looking for. That's the expectation for this group, that everybody involved can do their part and just keep the train moving. We haven't reached that point. It is stop and start. Great Zach Gallen start, followed up, bad Merrill Kelly start. Brendan Pfaadt was okay in Washington. What do we follow it up with? Erod loses, Corbin Burnes struggles. Zach Gallen gets into some trouble on Monday, doesn't get some help from his defense, and inning kind of spirals. Follows up, 2 good starts in a row. I don't want to see the stop and start. I want to see this train be full steam ahead. They have that chance this weekend. You know Corbin Burnes is going to be fired up. You know Corbin Burnes is going to be ready to take on his old team. You know Corbin Burnes is going to be ready at home in front of this home ballpark to give the fans something, right? His first start of the year, on the road in New York. Second start of the year in Washington. Has not made a start in front of the home crowd. So he's got that motivation. He's playing his old team. He hasn't pitched well through his first 2 starts. He's looking for that marquee moment. It all just lines up into focus for him to dominate on Saturday and give us something special. But that's what this team is looking for. That's what this team needs.
I want to ask the question, what do you think the advantage goes to, who do you think the advantage goes to for Corbin Burnes in a start against your old team, or does it go to the offense for the Brewers?
I always default to pitching having the advantage. I always default to a pitcher being able to have a different wrinkle.
Yeah.
Just because a team has seen a guy work, right? Just because he's been on their side, they've never been standing in that box up against that stuff. They see it when they're in the field. They see it maybe when they're sitting on the bench. It's different when you're in between those white lines and you've got to try to make contact. Just it's different. So I always default to leaning towards giving the advantage to the pitcher in that spot. And you know that Corbin Burnes is going to play some type of leveling war with himself. He knows that they know his stuff. He's going to give you a different wrinkle. He's going to give you just a little something, right? And that's where a pitcher may have 4 or 5 pitches, but they really have maybe 8 to 10 pitches because, I'm going to throw this cutter, but I'm going to do something a little different with it. I'm going to take something a little off, or I'm going to throw it in a spot that I don't normally throw, or this pitch that you normally expect me to start out here and it'll end up here, I'm going to change my location. That's when you get to be an ace like Corbin Burnes is. You have an arsenal, but you're also able to take that arsenal and you're so in command of your stuff that you're able to just kind of toy with it. And this is the type of start where you break that out against a team that, if there's any team that's going to know your stuff the best, the team you spent the majority of your big league career so far with. And so I default to giving Corbin Burnes the advantage in that, and I think he'll give him a little different wrinkle over the weekend as well. But that is what faces the Arizona Diamondbacks, answering the call with their pitching. 2 starts in a row, a great sign. I want to see the train continue. I want to see Erod join the party. I want to see Burnes have that marquee start. Gallen to throw it back to the way he did against the Yankees. And I want to see this team dominate the way we know they can dominate with their pitching, because that is the strength of this team, even though it hasn't shown it so far. The bullpen's done their part. Bullpen's got a top 8 ERA in all of baseball. The bullpen, they've been excellent. The starting pitching staff lagging a little bit behind, so we need them to catch up. That series starts tonight against Milwaukee with Eduardo Rodriguez on the mound starting at 6:40. When we come back, wrapping up hour number 1 of the show, is college basketball about to have a major crisis? That's next. The lunch break. KDUS AM 1060.
The Varsity Sports Show live with Vince D'Alessio every Saturday morning from 9 to 11 a.m. Features all the local youth, high school, college sports, and more, both around the Valley and beyond. Enjoy go-to segments with coaches and players from around the Valley. Tune in to the Varsity Sports Show with Vince and guests Saturday morning from 9 to 11 a.m. right here on KDUS AM 1060. Online at KDUS1060.com and the KDUS 1060 app.
Come visit the all-new Wekopa Casino Resort, formerly Fort McDowell Casino. Whether you're visiting for slots, table games, the Valley's favorite bingo hall, golf, or food, our new smoke-free casino resort is the place to be. Enjoy a fine dining experience like no other at Ember, or go for the lively crowd at WKP Sportsbook and Bar. Wekopa offers 2 top 10 golf courses in the state, and the resort with heated pools and cabanas is the perfect place to relax. Come experience Wekopa Casino Resort today. At Wekopa, we have the best of it all.
Tired of overpriced repairs at the dealership? At Arrowhead Imports, we do things differently. We're a family-owned business specializing in German cars with a focus on integrity and transparency. No pressure, no gimmicks, just high-quality service at a great price. If you love your German car but dread going to the dealer, we're here for you. Visit Arrowhead Imports or call 602-464-6556 today. Your car and your wallet will thank you later. Arrowhead Imports. Family-owned, family-trusted.
The Offspring. Supercharged worldwide in 25. One unforgettable summer night. The Offspring, live in Phoenix. With special guests Jimmy Eat World and Newfound Glory. Playing Talking Stick Resort Amphitheater August 27th. Get tickets now at livenation.com. 3 great bands. 1 incredible show. Part of the America First Credit Union Concert Series.
When you help St. Mary's Food Bank feed Arizona families in need, it feeds something in you too. It feels great knowing you're helping others put food on the table. And it feels like nothing to your wallet, because you get a $1 Arizona charitable tax credit up to $938. So donate today at stmarysfoodbank.org. You feed others, and your kindness doesn't cost you a thing.
The Sun Devils will look to start a Big 12 winning streak as they head out to Cincinnati to take on the Bearcats. The voice of the Sun Devils, Tim Healy, has you covered with pregame starting at 2:45 p.m. on KAZG 1440 AM with first pitch at 3. It's the Sun Devils and the Bearcats in a Big 12 conference bash on 1440 KAZG and online at KDUS1060.com/Sun Devils.
Was not expecting to talk college football on the Friday edition of the show in the middle of April. But here we are, because it was earlier this week on Monday where we moved further in the direction of the House versus NCAA settlement to being finalized, paving the way for colleges to directly pay athletes and have a de facto salary cap system put in place, $20.5 million for every university to spend up to on players directly, and those players could still grab NIL deals and do third-party stuff. But the roadmap on Monday was sort of paved in that direction. Now, things have not been finalized yet. They have to go back to the drawing board and fix a couple of things before the judge approves the settlement, but feels like that's the way we are going. And that happened on Monday, the day of the national championship, and we didn't talk about it on Tuesday. We haven't talked about it all this week, and I wasn't really expecting to. When the news was finalized and we entered this new chapter, maybe we would touch on it as a leftover story, but didn't really seem to have this overwhelming drive to discuss this on the program. But then something happened today that, paired with that story, just sets up for what I think is going to be a very bumpy and weird next 12 to 18 months. Because today, Tennessee hosted practice. Get their spring game coming up, spring practices. And their quarterback, and I'm going to need some help here from the producer of the program, producer Evan, because during the break, we tried to make sure that I was going to get the pronunciation right. And I already forgot it. But the quarterback of Tennessee, Nico, you got to help me.
Imaliala.
Imaliala.
I think that's it.
Did not show up to practice today. So he did not show up to practice today for Tennessee. Why did he not show up to practice today for Tennessee? Nico, that is. We're going to refer to him as Nico the rest of the way just to make it easy on all of us. Well, apparently he is having a dispute over his NIL deal. Currently gets paid, I believe, about $2 million with his current NIL deal with Tennessee, or their collective or whatever it is, and wants to be paid more in the $4 million range. And oh, by the way, next Wednesday, if you hadn't checked your calendars recently, is when the spring portal opens up for college football. And so less than a week from the spring portal opening, with practice today, we saw a college football holdout. Never been seen before. A quarterback of a major university that was in the college football playoff is holding out because he wants more NIL money. And I know to more than half of this audience, that probably makes your skin crawl. That probably bothers you beyond belief, that the holdouts that you probably hate in the NFL have now transitioned over into college. And the reason why we're bringing this up today is to not talk about the quarterback from Tennessee and whether he's in the right or whether he's in the wrong. But with the settlement that is coming, with the money that is going to be directly paid from these universities to players, and these players having the type of power that they have, this is not going to be the last holdout that we see. It might be one of the first, but it is not going to be the last holdout we see in this regard. This is going to be the norm now in college sports. Now, I think it is a really bad look on Nico's part to do this with the transfer portal opening on Wednesday. I think it is just a really bad optic to do this. And if I'm Tennessee, I'd call the bluff. You want to go into the transfer portal? You want to go to someplace else? Go right ahead. Now, it's easy for me to say because I'm not the guy that has to be the AD of a university that just was in the college football playoff and has all these expectations on it. But if you allow this to happen once, it's going to happen again. So somebody's got to hold the line, and somebody has to say, no, paying you $2 million. You've got a great NIL deal. You're pulling this stunt a couple of days before the spring portal opens. I'm not getting involved. But when I said in the tease that is college football about to have a major crisis, this is going to become the norm. And at least in the NFL, when a guy holds out, I can see the roadmap for a resolution. All right, he's going to hold out. He's going to miss a couple of practices. They're going to fine him for missing the practices. Then they're going to come to terms on a new deal, and things are going to be okay. Do we trust the NCAA and these institutions to have a system in place to deal with this the way the NFL? We are in this mess. We are having this conversation today because a settlement had to be put into place on Monday to directly pay players because the NCAA couldn't handle this properly originally. We live in a new era now. We live in a new world of NIL dollars. And I don't know if the powers at be, if the institutions that are supposed to be overseeing this can be trusted to put in the right system. And so if you think holdouts in the NFL are bad, I think holdouts are going to be worse in college because I don't see the safeguards. I don't see the guardrails. You can't fine a kid NIL money, can you? I don't know. You can find a guy in the collective bargaining agreement. See, these players that sign these NIL deals, they're not part of a union. There's no college football PA the way there is an NFL PA that negotiates these things, and those fines for holding out are negotiated into the agreement that all of the players agreed to, that the union and the league and the owners sign off on. The reason why you're able to do that is because there are rules to the road. Do we think there are going to be rules to the road after this settlement? Do we think that over the next 12 to 18 months, things are going to become more streamlined? There are going to be more guardrails? This is going to be handled properly? Or are we just on the precipice of the wild, wild west?
This has to be the wild, wild west. The two things that stand out to me is, Chris, these guys could sit out every year. They could have a holdout every year because guess what? It isn't a long-term deal like it is in the NFL. You're not getting 5 years and all the money. You're getting a 1-year NIL deal from a new school. And then guess what? You could hold out the next time the transfer portal comes out. It's going to start a chain reaction of a problem. And Tennessee doesn't only have to set the tone for, hey, what is our school going to do if this happens again? This is going to be a set the tone for all of college football. And this is the spot where these teams and these schools need to stand up and just say, you can't hold out a week before the transfer portal because now they're in a spot where now in spring practice, they do not have a quarterback. 6 days before the transfer portal opens, they don't know if they have a quarterback.
It just feels like everybody in college football is now paying attention to what Tennessee is going to do with this situation.
They set the tone for all of college football.
Everybody is going to react and use Tennessee's decision-making process here as a roadmap for their future if they are ever put into these situations. If they ever have a player that decides to hold out over NIL money or holds out for whatever reason, how Tennessee handles this is going to be what those ADs and those coaches look to try to inform their decision-making process.
This decision could react or could cause a reaction that could shape the next 5 years of what college football looks like.
Next 5 years, we got to get through the next 12 to 18 months.
This could be the most important decision by a single school to shape the college football in 3 decades.
Now, hear me very clearly on this. I believe the players deserve to be paid. I believe the players deserve to have the NIL money, and they deserve to get the best deal for them.
I'm a big believer in NIL, but it's a mess right now.
There need to be guardrails. And I don't know if the House settlement is going to go far enough in setting up those guardrails and setting up not just college football, but college athletics as a whole to succeed. I think this is just the beginning of what is going to be a chaotic next couple of years in a era of college sports that is already chaotic. Our number one of the program in the books. Our number two, we'll start with this. What does next year have to look like for the Phoenix Suns? It's the lunch break. KDUS AM 1060.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix.
Breaking news, and this one is almost unbelievable.
Yeah, it's all about new customers at Bet365 because they get $150 in bonus bets when they bet $5, win or lose. And even better, bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, and player props.
There you have it. Bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. And see why. It's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Arizona. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. T&Cs apply.
I'm Mark.
And I'm Colina. We've purchased 2 Fulton homes in the last 7 years. We would never buy anywhere but Fulton Homes.
We actually tried other builders, looked at them, and nothing compares to Fulton quality. We're repeat builders with Fulton. It's been an amazing process, and we would never go anywhere else after experiencing it. The process working with the Fulton team was great. They cared. We got updates, and you could just tell how much they were excited, almost as much as we are. Fulton is so good at the homes they build. The quality you get is just really unmatched. They continue to care about us as a client, even though we've now finished the sale. I admired their communities because they were always a step above. The amount of landscaping, the way it was always groomed. They add the features that you want to be outside, you want to be in the community. And that matters to us. We want to be outside, not just in the home. And all the amenities are just amazing. We would buy Fulton Homes again in a heartbeat. I don't think we'd consider anybody else.
Fulton Homes. You're proud to own, we're proud to build.
A noisy garage door is a cry for help that often requires only simple maintenance. However, if left untreated, could lead to costly repairs. Hi, I'm Tommy Mello from A1 Garage Door Service. Don't wait until a simple garage door repair becomes a major problem. If your garage door is noisy, if bugs are getting in, or if it struggles to open, your garage door is in need of repair. From simple repairs to upgrades, it's A1 from day one. We fix garage doors fast and with quality parts designed to last a lifetime. Our springs, rollers, and openers are tested by running them up and down, open and closed, all day, 24/7, so you can feel confident with every A1 garage door repair. Replacing the bottom rubber on your garage door can have a huge impact on the number of bugs you see in your garage and in your home. Keep those creepy crawlers outside by calling A1 Garage Door Service today and receive the best service, best parts, and best warranty in the industry.
A1Garage.com. A1 from day one.
Call today and take advantage of our $29.95 tune-up special.
A family called us recently after being told they had no case.
But we found evidence many others had missed and helped them win the largest car crash verdict in Arizona that year. Hiring the wrong lawyer can cost you everything.
Call the husband and wife law team first.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix.
Hour number 2 of the lunch break. Chris Schubert here with you. Producer Evan behind the glass. One more hour for us until the weekend. Appreciate you joining us here today on the show. The Phoenix Suns over the last 2 seasons have had huge expectations. There have been dreams of the first NBA championship for this organization. There have been dreams of Devin Booker and Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal being a part of a parade all over downtown Phoenix celebrating that championship. There have been thoughts of this team being the standard in the Western Conference. And over the last 2 seasons, the results of those expectations have not matched. What the Suns have done over the last 2 seasons have been a far cry from what we've expected of this team. And this summer, there's going to be a lot of change. There may be a coaching change. There may be a change in the front office. There will be players that go. There will be new players that will arrive. Kevin Durant will more than likely not be here. And so everything is going to be different surrounding this team next season, even if some of the key pieces on the chessboard are still here. If they only make a change at coach, but they keep the front office, if they keep the front office and the coach and they change all the players, things are going to be different. None of us are going to enter 2025, 2026. None of us are going to walk into next season and expect this team to win a championship. Those expectations are tabled for right now. So that leads to a question that I think is very important to framing what this summer is going to look like for this basketball organization. What does next year have to look like for the Phoenix Suns? What are the new realistic expectations for the Phoenix Suns? Is it to be a play-in team? Is it to make the playoffs? Is it to win one round in the playoffs? What are realistic, fair expectations for a team that right now we don't know who the coach is going to be? We don't know who's going to be in the front office. We don't know what the roster is going to look like. We don't have any of those answers. Yet, what are the expectations that we want to put on next season? Because you could say, well, Chris, I don't want to set an expectation. I don't want to set what would define a successful season until I see what they do with the coach, until what I see them do in the front office or what players they bring in here. And that's fair. You can choose to wait, but I think those expectations are going to inform how this team proceeds this offseason. Because I think you could have an ownership that doesn't want to rebuild. We know that. We know this is an owner who believes the word rebuild is a curse word. We have an owner who believes that rebuild is not in the dictionary of the Phoenix Suns vocabulary, does not want to say it, does not want to think about it. And so if that is off the table, then there's already kind of a bias of how this offseason gets framed. There is still an expectation of winning inside that building. I don't think this is a organization that is going to tolerate another year of not being in the playoffs. I think they believe they can put together a roster that can compete for a playoff spot next year. Not just a play-in spot, but a playoff spot if they make the right moves, if they make the right tweaks. So again, you can wait to set your expectations, and I think you would be fair to do so. But if this ownership group and the front office, whether it's the same or whether it's different, if they go into free agency, if they go into a Kevin Durant trade, if they go into any of the moves this offseason already with the idea in their head of we're trying to win next season, not a championship, but we're trying to win, be relevant, be competitive, that is obviously going to impact what they ask for back in a Kevin Durant trade. It is obviously going to impact what players they may try to acquire either via a trade, via the draft, via free agency. Sometimes you get to draft night and you're more willing to take on projects, players that are not going to be able to be contributors right away. It's going to take a year or two, maybe 3, for them to unlock their potential. Other teams are at a point in their life cycle where they want to take players that maybe are on the older side and are more finished products. They don't have a super high ceiling, but they have a really high floor, and they can be key contributing role players. It's kind of what the Suns wanted to do with Ryan Dunn. They thought his defense was NBA ready. At least they did when they drafted him. Throughout the season, the defense they didn't care about. They cared about it at the draft, and that's why they drafted him. But during the season, the coaching staff didn't care about that defense. They drafted somebody who was NBA ready defensively because they needed players that could help them right away. So the Phoenix Suns last offseason are the perfect example of a team that drafts with their current needs in mind, with their current win now roster in mind. And so if you go into the offseason, before you make any of these moves, already in your mind, you've made up that this team is going to win next season. We are going to put on the court a winning basketball team. you may run the risk of making some of the same mistakes you've made the last couple of years. Maybe not to the extreme of trading 4 first-round picks, Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson, for Kevin Durant, or making the Bradley Beal trade. It may not be to that extreme, but you may make mistakes. Whereas if you go into the offseason saying, we need to get better in this area, we need to get better in this area, we need to get better here, and we'll see where the chips fall, but we know we're on the right track. And maybe it won't be in year 1, but in year 2 of this process, then we'll be ready to win. Then we'll be ready to fight for a playoff spot. But I ask you, 480-864-1060, KDUS AM 1060 YouTube live stream, however you want to get in contact with us. Do you think this owner is going to take his foot a little bit off the gas pedal? We've used this analogy in the past to talk about Matt Ishbia and the Phoenix Suns. And we said that at the trade deadline, by not making any big moves and by considering trading Kevin Durant but not actually going through with it, the Phoenix Suns are a sports car driving down the freeway, and they've been doing 85-90 down the freeway the whole time. And after the trade deadline passed, they didn't make the U-turn and start going the right way on the highway because we're going 90 in the wrong direction. They didn't get off on the next exit and turn around and go the other way. They just took their foot off the gas. And so instead of going 90, we've now slowed down to 85. Maybe 78. We're starting to slow down. But we still haven't made the real definitive choice to get off the highway and get going in the right direction. And so I'm still wondering, will this owner turn the car around and get it going in the right direction? Or will he still be cruising along at 70, 65, 60, still going in the wrong direction, but thinking that he is doing the right thing? We can wait until all the moves are done to decide on our expectations. I think the expectations need to be set out front because that is going to influence and inform all of the decisions we see this team make the rest of the offseason.
Doesn't it feel like if their owner wasn't Matt Ishbia, like any other team would go into a rebuild, but he's so allergic to the word rebuild that it just feels like that's not the way they're going to head, but it just feels like this is a team who would really benefit in 5 years from selling it and going for a rebuild.
I think this organization can thread the needle. I legitimately think if this team changes the voices in the front office, changes the voices on the coaching staff, gets back the right haul for Kevin Durant, makes the right moves in free agency, drafts well, they can be competitive next season. They can put on paper a roster that might not look as good as having Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker, right? And Tyus Jones and Royce O'Neal and Grayson Allen. On paper, it might not look as good of a roster, but it can be more of a team. It can be a group that wins more than 35, 36 games like this team is going to end up winning this season. I don't think it is that difficult. I think if they get the right return for Kevin Durant, which we have long said on this show is 2 first-round picks, 1 starter, and 1 young player to try to unlock the potential of. That's the framework. If the Suns get that or better, I will sing their praises and I will say they checked that box. They made a good move. 2 first-round picks, 1 starter, and 1 young player whose potential needs to be tapped into. If you do that, I think you did enough in the Kevin Durant trade. Then you also, because you get underneath one of the aprons by moving Kevin Durant, you have some more tools in your toolbox. You can identify some other players on other teams that maybe you want to bring in. I think they can make a better team for next season. Pieces that actually fit together. Pieces that actually have that grit, that have that toughness, that have that defensive intensity. Flying all over the floor, both ends, up and down, just making plays happen. I think they can put together that roster in this offseason. Will they do that? Or will they go for the quick fix? See, let's workshop an analogy here. I haven't really thought this through, so we may hit some bumps along the road, but just go with me, everybody. You want to make some changes to your house, right? There are some out there that are making the argument that the Phoenix Suns need to rent the bulldozer and knock the whole house down to the foundation and start over. I think, producer Evan, you would fall into that camp, that you would like to rent the bulldozer. You would probably like to operate the bulldozer and knock the house down, go to the foundation. Fair?
Rip it down.
Rip it down. So you are part of that group that wants to bring in the bulldozer. And then I think there are people like me who think, can we just knock down this wall and maybe add an extension, and we repaint the living room and we get the new cabinets and the granite in the kitchen, and then with the new extension we redo the garage, and you keep the foundation basically the same, but you don't just make cosmetic changes, we make actual structural changes, and the house is actually going to go up in value. And then there are some people, I wonder if the owner is one of these people, that just wants to slap a new coat of paint on the outside of the house, wants to change out one plant in the driveway for another plant, and try to present the case that, no, everything's different this go around. Everything's new. I think I just outlined 3 different philosophies. Your philosophy is an extreme. I think the philosophy of just a new coat of paint on the outside and changing out some of the shrubbery is the other end of the extreme. What I am campaigning for is somewhere in the middle. A modest upgrade to the house. A modest bit of construction. Not a Band-Aid. Not full-blown surgery. Just some tweaks. Some big tweaks, but just some tweaks. And I wonder which one of those 3 paths this team is going to pick. I know, based on their words, they're not renting the bulldozer. That's not happening. The bulldozer's not coming. Will it be just a fresh coat of paint? Or will they knock down some walls, redo the layout a little bit, upgrade some of the cabinetry, put in the wood floors, and actually make meaningful changes while keeping the foundation, that foundation being Devin Booker, still intact? That informs what the expectations are. You choose the path that I've just outlined, I think you can ask this team to be in the play-in race and potentially be one of the 8 teams that plays in the first round. You bulldoze it down, you're asking for a couple of years of pain, and the expectations are just don't completely embarrass yourself like the Philadelphia 76ers or the way you embarrassed yourself the last couple of years. And then there is the fresh coat of paint on the outside. Those expectations, I don't know what you do with those expectations. 480-864-1060 is the phone number. You could also join us over on the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube live stream when we come back. Which player, if they fall in the 2025 NFL draft, could help the Cardinals the most? We'll talk about it next. The lunch break, KDUS AM 1060.
Ready to tackle each morning with the best sports information coming at you?
I'm going to take a logical approach.
Get that weekday mornings on KDUS AM 1060 from 6 to 9 a.m. with the Dan Patrick Show. Dan Patrick, the Danettes, sports icons, sports legends, celebrities, poll questions. The Dan Patrick Show has it all.
It's a crapshoot.
Be sure to lock your dials to AM 1060 or 100.7 HD2 from 6 to 9 a.m. Mornings just got better.
This story is about us.
Pierce the Veil. I Can't Hear You World Tour 2025. Pierce the Veil, live in concert in Phoenix. With Sleeping with Sirens and Beach Weather. Live at Talking Stick Resort Amphitheater, June 15th. Get tickets now at livenation.com. Part of the America First Credit Union Concert Series.
We're chatting with our guest, always safety first, 811 Megaphone Man.
Call 811 before you dig.
You never stray from your mission of letting homeowners, landscapers, and excavators know you should always call 811 before you dig.
Call 811.
Call for both small and big jobs. And 2 working days in advance?
811.
Any parting words? And I'm guessing they will be.
Call 811 before before you dig.
Brought to you by Southwest Gas.
811.
This next song goes out to Cox Mobile for letting me video call my dog while we're on tour. From San Diego to Boston, I said hi. You started barking. Cox Mobile's got the bars to keep us both howling.
We run on the network with unbeatable 5G reliability. So whether you're at a concert or on the road, you'll stay connected. Visit cox.com/mobile. Cox Internet required. Cox Mobile runs on the network with unbeatable 5G reliability per Ookla US 2H 2024. Other restrictions apply.
When you help St. Mary's Food Bank feed Arizona families in need, it feeds something in you too. It feels great knowing you're helping others put food on the table. And it feels like nothing to your wallet. Because you get a $1 Arizona charitable tax credit up to $938. So donate today at stmarysfoodbank.org. You feed others, and your kindness doesn't cost you a thing.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. Every generation has a voice that defines how we remember the games. For millions of sports fans, that voice was Brent Musburger, and now he's finally getting his due. Musburger is the 2025 recipient of the Pete Rozelle Radio TV Award. And if you grew up on sports over the last 50 years, you know why that matters. He didn't just call games. He set the scene, framed the moment, turned every Saturday, Sunday, or Monday into an event. You are looking live. It wasn't just a line. It was a signal that something big was about to happen. From the Rose Bowl to the Final Four, from NFL Sundays to the BCS title game, Brent brought a voice that captivated millions across the country. A voice that made everything feel just a little more important, a little bigger. The 2025 Rozelle Award won't just honor a broadcaster, it celebrates the soundtrack of sports for an entire era. He gave us memories. He gave us moments. And now, this is long overdue. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. In a constantly changing world, nothing is more important than protecting your home and loved ones from harm. For millions of Americans, the reassurance starts every single day by arming your home with Simply Safe Home Security. Whether it's heading out or locking up, that simple press of a button gives you greater peace of mind. Visit simplysafedan.com. You're going to save 50% on a new system. So it's simplysafedan.com and get that 50% off on a new system. And always remember, there is no safe like Simply Safe. Dreaming of a golf course quality lawn or turning your backyard into the clubhouse? True Green can make it all happen. And right now, they're going to give you a chance to win $25,000 towards a lawn makeover to take your yard to the next level. As the official lawn care treatment provider of the PGA Tour, True Green will bring pro-level expertise to your yard. Enter now for your chance to win $10,000, $15,000, or $25,000. But hurry, entries close April 14th. Sign up today, truegreen.com/sweepstakes. Restrictions apply.
Hey listeners, Vince DeLisio here. In honor of Pat's Run, this week is Pat Tillman Week on the Varsity Sports Show. Join us Saturday morning as we broadcast live next to the statue inside the north end of Mountain America Stadium. In addition to our amazing live guest coaches joining us, our team will be presenting stories about Pat Tillman. It's the Varsity Sports Show, Pat Tillman Week, Saturday morning from 9 to 11 on AM 1060, KDUS, Arizona.
What player could fall on draft night that would have the biggest impact on the Arizona Cardinals? That was a conversation that we kicked around in our morning meeting today. And what I mean with that question is not a player that the Cardinals could take with the 16th overall pick, but a player whose fall could lead to a different set of outcomes for the Cardinals, meaning somebody starts to slip like a quarterback or a running back or a defensive tackle, and that player then goes to a team where they haven't been mocked or discussed by anybody, and the butterfly effect that happens with that. I had 3 names that came to mind this morning. Producer Evan said that he had one name that came to mind immediately. I don't know what his name is. I don't know if it matches my name. But there were 3 names that came to mind to me. And two of these are positions that the Cardinals are not interested in. And so these players falling won't change the Cardinals' draft plans. It'll just change the players that may be on the board. The first player, Shedeur Sanders. If Shedeur Sanders slips outside the top 5, if he slips past the Raiders at 6, if he slips past the Jets at 7, if he somehow gets by the Saints at 9, and we're talking about him at 10 plus, 12 plus, then all of a sudden teams may start calling to try to trade up. Teams may be like, wow, Shedeur Sanders didn't think he was going to be available. We're moving up. We're trying to get him. That impacts the Arizona Cardinals. Maybe the Cardinals then move back because somebody wants to move up to get Shedeur Sanders. A player that doesn't impact the Cardinals' draft plans, but can impact how they operate on draft night. The second name that popped up for me, because everybody just assumes that this guy is going number 6 overall to the Las Vegas Raiders. What if Ashton Jeanty doesn't go inside the top 6? What if Ashton Jeanty isn't a member of the Las Vegas Raiders? What if he gets past the Jets at 7? What if the Bears don't take him at 10 like everybody thinks would be his stopping point in the draft? Are there a bunch of teams that go, it's much easier to move up to 12 or 13 than it is to move up to 6 to get Ashton Jeanty? What does that then do to the draft board? Mason Graham is another name that came to mind for me, that if he starts to fall a little bit, a team that may have considered Kenneth Grant or Derek Harmon, the defensive tackle out of Oregon, they may go, I'll just take Mason Graham. Or if Mason Graham starts to fall a little bit, that means other players jumped in front of Mason Graham. What does that mean for the draft board? When you pick 16, there's a lot of things that can impact who is available for you on the draft board. Those are just 3 names that immediately came to mind for me.
The 3 names I had, we have 2 overlapping.
Okay.
Shedeur Sanders, I think, is the basic. If he falls, that's good for the Cardinals. Second one was Mason Graham. The third one for me gets a little interesting, and that's Tyler Warren. Because if Tyler Warren slips out of the top 10, and let's say he gets to 13, he gets to 14, then people start calling the Cardinals about trading up. Then people start calling the teams in front of the Cardinals to start trading up. And you start to see those names come off the board as people want to go get a guy like Tyler Warren. And that becomes not just somebody trading up to get 10 to take Shedeur Sanders or to take Ashton Jeanty, but they're trading up to take 13 or 14 right in front of you.
Yeah, that's a great call by you. Was not directly thinking about Tyler Warren, but again, a position that the Cardinals have no connection to, are not considering taking in the first round. But here is one of the more blue chip prospects in this class where, because of the positional value, teams may not want to take a tight end inside the top 8. They may not want to take a tight end inside the top 10, but they start to feel comfortable at 13, at 14, at 15, at 16. You begin to be like, okay, now the value starts to make sense. And then that means a team that picks maybe 21, 22, 23 goes, I may want this kid. I'm moving up to 13 or 14 to get him. And it messes up the whole board. It changes the dynamic of everything. And again, these are not players that we think the Cardinals are interested in, but we think these are players whose fall in the draft can mess up everybody's plans. Because I always quote this movie around this time of year, movie Draft Day.
Oh, God.
What? You're not a fan of the movie?
It's horrible.
Wait a minute. You think the movie Draft Day is horrible?
Yes.
Well, okay. Give me your top 3 complaints about the movie Draft Day.
The trade. First of all, the trade he makes in the beginning of the movie.
Now, are you saying that it's unrealistic, or are you saying he's a bad GM?
Both.
I think you could say that Sonny is a bad GM. I think you can say that for sure, because there was no business doing all of that.
Yep.
If you were just going to take Vontae regardless, you didn't need to move up to number 1, right? The post-it note says Vontae no matter what. I would concede with you that at the beginning of the movie, it is not a very pro-GM type of move to make that trade. All right, that's criticism number 1. Go ahead, keep going.
Second one, David Putney. I mean, who is trading for a kick returner?
Listen, it's all about the negotiation. You had Seattle. They wanted to move up. But now the deal was off the table, and so you got a little sweetener. Sometimes that's what you got to do to make a deal over the top. They needed it. They needed that hole filled. They got a return guy. Nothing wrong with that. That's being a good GM. That's getting more out of a deal even when you think the deal is complete. Go ahead.
Next one. They drafted a running back, and that's a huge problem. They drafted a running back.
Yeah, but they
drafted him only because
Cleveland royalty. Because
he's Jennings family's
Right,
Cleveland royalty.
Cleveland royalty.
Shout out, by the way, that he's played by Arian Foster, which is one of the cooler notes in the movie.
And so Ray Jennings is the running back that they take. They hold on to their quarterback. They don't take Bo Callahan.
By the way, who's going to be an All-Pro?
No, I don't think so at all. The scene,
the $100 bill,
right? That's it. I was out. I was like, you know what, Sonny, don't take him. That's a great decision. That's why you have to talk to everybody in the draft process, because you learn things. You're like, wait a minute, this kid's a bust, and then they roll the tape on the big play that he makes, and they realize that Vontae's not out there.
And who was the only player to give back the 100? It's Brian Drew,
who they have as their quarterback. That's right. That's right. Now, I will give you this. There is one criticism that I think is warranted. They trade up for the first overall pick, and then they start their film work on Bo Callahan like they didn't do this before. It's their first time putting on Bo tape. Like, come on, guys, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
So you're not a fan of this movie?
No.
So I love this movie. I try to make it a habit on draft day itself to watch it at some point.
No, my roommates watch it every year.
Yes.
Every year. And I will watch it again this year. And 40 minutes into the movie, I'm going to think the same thing. Wow, this is worse than I remember.
Okay, so the point I was attempting to make before we sidetracked is in that movie, Bo Callahan starts to slide. He moves down the board, and everybody panics. They don't know what to do with themselves. Why is he falling? The Jacksonville GM, you want to talk about being a bad GM. He traded a first-round pick for 3 seconds.
Rookie GM.
That is a bad trade. That guy probably shouldn't be in a GM chair. He looked like he had no idea what he was doing. But everybody's panicking about Bo Callahan. Some teams, they just stuck to their board. They just picked the guy that they wanted. Other teams freaked out. They didn't know what to do with themselves. Cleveland trades up to take Vontae Mack. That throws everything into a frenzy. Confuses everybody. That's what I'm talking about. These types of things happen. Yes, they happen in Hollywood productions of the NFL draft, but they also happen in real life. Laramie Tunsil fell through the draft. That caused people to not know what to do. Where's the slide going to stop? Is there going to be a point where a team jumps up and says, you know what? I understand what's going on here, but this value is too strong to pass up. And there are, I think, a handful of players that fit that bill. Shedeur Sanders is one. Ashton Genty is two. Why do I say those two players? Because those players have been locks inside the top 10. And if you have one of those guys, if not both of those guys, start to slide outside of the top 10, that's when you have problems on your hand. You bring up Tyler Warren. I think that's a great one because there's a positional value question there. But I think those players sliding could create a scenario where the Cardinals get on the clock with pick number 16 and there's a player available that they're not anticipating being available. So they got to do the film work like the Cleveland Browns do for Bo Callahan.
I really do believe that.
A top 5 sports movie. How about that for a take?
It's horrible. It's horrible. I top 5 can rattle off the top of my head. It's not even close.
Draft Day is an excellent film. Excellent.
I would take 3 Rockies over Draft Day.
It's a bad take.
It's not. Rocky 1, Rocky 5, Rocky 2.
Yeah, but you're a Philadelphia guy. There's a huge bias here.
Benchwarmers, The Sandlot.
We're not going to do this because we're already over time, and I don't want to completely derail the show. The Sandlot is a fine movie. I don't think
crazy.
I don't think
if The Sandlot's on TV, I'm not turning it off.
I don't think The Sandlot is a top 3 baseball movie.
Yeah, but it's better than Draft Day.
Is The Sandlot better
Moneyball, better movie.
Well, Moneyball's the best baseball movie of all time.
Yeah.
My 3 would be Moneyball, 42, and Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I just feel like you would have a heart for Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
I think your first 2 are right, and then I have Benchwarmers might be at 4, but then I have Sandlot at 3.
You're putting The Sandlot in there.
Yeah.
All right, I didn't expect us to go down that path, but we did here on a Friday edition of the program. I do want to hook you guys up with a $50 gift card to Von Hansen's Meats and Spirits located at Alma School just between Elliott and Warner in Chandler. or you can shop online at vonhansensmeats.net, and it is your one-stop shop. Meats, beer, wine, barbecue rubs, wood chips. They've even got all-natural dog food treats for your pup. They've got amazing house-made easy appetizers, burger sliders, potato skins, bacon-wrapped asparagus, deli salads, and more. It's getting warm out. You're probably ready to fire up the grill.
Perfect time to barbecue.
You're probably ready to start getting outside. Well, you're going to want to stop over at Von Hansen's Meat and Spirits, and I want to hook you up here on a Friday $50 gift card. So how about this? As we go to break, caller number 6-480-864-1060 will hook you up with a $50 gift card to Von Hansen's. When we come back, it is a very small sample size, but two major decisions the Diamondbacks have made this offseason, they've already looked like they've paid off. That's next, the lunch break, KDUS, AM 1060.
The Varsity Sports Show live with Vince D'Alessio every Saturday morning from 9 to 11 a.m. Features all the local youth, high school, college sports, and more, both around the Valley and beyond. Enjoy go-to segments with coaches and players from around the Valley. Tune in to the Varsity Sports Show with Vince and guests Saturday morning from 9 to 11 a.m. right here on KTUS AM 1060. Online at KTUS1060.com and the KTUS 1060 app.
As the old saying goes, size matters.
At Morgan & Morgan, we have over 1,000 lawyers and nearly 6,000 people on staff.
But at the core, this is and always has been a family business.
Our family watching out for your family.
Call us or email us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even on a Saturday or a Sunday.
And if you ever have a problem, call our mom.
Morgan & Morgan.
For the people and your family.
Injured? Dial Pound Law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Looking to sell your home? Hi, I'm Andrew the Home Buyer, and I love making it easy to sell your house. I'll personally come and give you a cash offer the same day we meet, and I'll beat any other offer. It really is that easy to sell your home, and no need to clean or fix anything. I'll buy it in as-is condition. Call me, Andrew the Home Buyer, today to get your same-day cash offer. Visit andrewthehomebuyer.com.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee, Peter Frampton. Let's Do It Again tour, June 25th, Arizona Financial Theater. Grammy winner, the one and only Peter Frampton. On sale now at livenation.com.
Baby, I love you.
Hey, it's Pat. The other day at work, they brought in pizza for lunch. So I swooped in and I grabbed 3 slices. The coworker next to me said, "Geez, Pat, you can't have it all." Then I corrected him and said, "Yeah, I can. And you can too. With a new 2025 Toyota truck. Power and performance, capability and reliability." Well, I must have convinced him because he grabbed the plate out of my hand and he said, "Good point, Pat."
Right now, get 1.99% financing for 72 months on a new 2025 Tundra SR or SR5. Or get competitive financing or a great lease deal on a new Camry, RAV4, or Tacoma. Plus, check out the all-new 6th generation 4Runner, arriving daily at your Valley Toyota dealers. Shop anytime at valleytoyotadealers.com. Toyota, let's go places. 1.99% with $14.75 per thousand borrowed for 72 months. 0 down payment if you qualify. Offers end 4/30/25. See dealer for details.
Connect directly, bid confidently. At Purple Wave Auction, transparency is key. With no reserves and no hidden surprises, you're connected directly to sellers so you can inspect and bid on quality equipment with confidence. Whether you're looking for ag, construction, or fleet equipment, we're here to ensure a clear, hassle-free experience. Register today at purplewave.com and start bidding with peace of mind. Purple Wave Auction, the easiest and most straightforward way to buy and sell equipment.
Ready to tackle each morning with the best sports information coming at you?
I'm going to take a logical approach.
Get that weekday mornings on KTUS AM 1060 from 6 to 9 a.m. with the Dan Patrick Show. Dan Patrick, the Danettes, sports icons, sports legends, celebrities, poll questions. The Dan Patrick Show has it all.
It's a crapshoot.
Be sure to lock your dials to AM 1060 or 100.7 HD2 from 6 to 9 a.m. Mornings just got better.
This story is about us.
Diamondbacks back in action starting tonight. If you are listening over on the KDUS AM 1060 app, you can listen for your chance to win 4 tickets to the Diamondbacks against the Braves on Saturday, April 26th at Chase Field. And make sure you get to the game early. You'll get a chance to win a Diamondbacks replica jersey courtesy of Casino Arizona and Talking Stick Resort. The first 25,000 fans at the game will get hooked up with that Diamondbacks replica jersey. You can get your tickets at dbacks.com/SGT. 2 of the bright spots outside of Corbin Carroll on the offense for the Arizona Diamondbacks have been Josh Naylor and Pavin Smith, the team's brand new first baseman and the team's DH, which was an internal promotion as one of the young guys on this team. I saw these stats this morning that have proved early on the Diamondbacks' 2 big gambles that they made this offseason have paid off because they decided Christian Walker out of the price range, weren't willing to go to the $20+ million per season that he got from Houston. Jock Peterson, their DH, did not feel comfortable bringing him back, wanted to go with an internal option. And so far, for both of those guys, I saw this morning at D-Backs Stats Info on Twitter, put this together. Christian Walker to start the year is 7 for 48. That is a 146 batting average, 2 extra base hits, 1 RBI, 2 walks, 18 strikeouts, a 425 OPS. Jock Peterson to start 2025 is 3 for 32. That is an 094 batting average, 1 extra base hit, no RBIs, 3 walks, 8 strikeouts, and a 341 OPS. Where is if you look at the production that the Diamondbacks are getting from Josh Naylor, who they acquired to be their Christian Walker replacement, and for Pavin Smith, who they promoted to be their DH, Pavin Smith's hitting 400 in his 35 plate appearances. He has a home run. He's got a 486 on base percentage. Josh Naylor, who they traded for to replace Christian Walker as their first baseman, he's hitting 340 over his first 55 plate appearances. He has 1 home run. He also has 3 stolen bases to start the year with a 418 on base percentage. So you would say that so far, Pavin Smith with his 1152 OPS and Josh Naylor with his 929 OPS, that the Diamondbacks gamble that they took this offseason, their gamble of replacing Christian Walker with Josh Naylor and giving a young player like Pavin Smith an opportunity to play almost every day as the DH has paid off in the early going. That their resource allocation of not spending that money on Christian Walker, spending it on Corbin Burns, trading for Josh Naylor, a younger, cheaper player overall who is giving them right now better production, but last year, similar offensive production. Yes, I know the defense was a big thing with Christian Walker, and you're not getting similar defensive output from Josh Naylor. I get it. But the offensive output so far through 13 games is a lot better for the Diamondbacks and what they decided to do over what Houston decided to do with Christian Walker and with the decision to go with Pavin Smith over Jock Peterson. And we're looking for silver linings with this offense. You look at the top couple of guys right now. Corbin Carroll is hitting out of his mind right now. 1.3 WAR to lead this team. I believe, producer Evan, you told me the stat this morning that Corbin Carroll leads the National League in WAR, all of baseball in WAR.
Yeah, that would be all of baseball.
It would be all of baseball in WAR with his 1.3 WAR so far. And I will remind everybody, just because I think this is interesting, Corbin Carroll leads all of baseball with 1.3 WAR, still has yet to steal a base this season. You know that skill is coming at some point. You know he's going to showcase that off.
Or hit a home run that's good for more than 1 run.
It's a great point by you. He has 5 home runs. They are all solo shots this season. But he's been hitting great. Pavin Smith has really turned a corner here to start the year. And Josh Naylor was good. We were waiting for the power to show up. Home run in that Baltimore series. So you're getting the production from the top part of the lineup. Corbin Carroll's hitting 320. Perdomo's hitting 333. Pavin Smith's hitting 400. Josh Naylor's hitting 340. It's
The 152 from Lourdes Gurriel. It's the 156 from Eugenio Suarez. It's the 182 from Tim Tawa and, Garrett Hampson on the bench hitting 111. You're getting nothing from second base while Ketel Marte is out. You're trying to piece this together, but I find it incredibly encouraging that the two big gambles that this team made offensively, the Arizona Diamondbacks rolled the dice. They gambled. Christian Walker, fan favorite, good player, power production, defense, $20 million plus a season. No, thank you. We're going to trade for Josh Naylor. So far, 13 games in, looks like a worthwhile gamble. Jock Peterson was here, opted out, going to cost a pretty penny to bring back a DH. We're going to go with an internal option that's cost-controlled, a young player that we believe in. So far, that looks like a gamble that has paid off. Pushing all the right buttons so far. And the thing that would be the cherry on top, and this is the thing I expect to see, once Corbin Burns starts pitching like Corbin Burns, it will look like your entire offseason plan, not spending on Christian Walker, spending big on Corbin Burns, that being your big expenditure, going with a cheaper, younger option in Josh Naylor, making that trade, and going with an internal option at DH. That was your big plan. We may take a step back offensively, but we believe in these guys. Your plan would have worked. If we start to see vintage Corbin Burns, and we will, once we do that, if Pavin continues, he's not going to hit 400 for the whole season, but if he continues to be outpacing what Jock Peterson is doing, and if Josh Naylor continues to outplay what Christian Walker is doing in Houston, your plan, executed flawlessly, executed to perfection. So I wanted to give that some love here ahead of this Brewers series.
You're excited about this already, and the slam dunk, home run, whatever you want to call it, deal you made in the offseason has been the worst of the three moves to this point.
Yep.
And that is saying enough alone.
You wondered if Naylor would be able to produce enough offensively to overcome for the defense that you were losing with Walker. I told you all offseason long, once they made the trade, Josh Naylor is going to become a fan favorite. This guy is an energy creator. He is a lightning rod in all of the best ways. This is a guy you want to be on your team, that you want to represent your club. And he is doing that so far. Pavin Smith, we worried, okay, this is a huge bet. You're betting on a young player. He had a good year last year in the small sample size. You're going to turn the sample size up a bit. You're going to give him more opportunity. What does he do with it? So far, so good. And yes, to your point, the big piece to all of this was Corbin Burns. That piece hasn't worked out yet. What does this look like when Corbin Burns is vintage, classic Corbin Burns? That's the thing that gets me excited. We've got one more leftovers here for you this week. I expect a Masters update. I expect whatever other random stuff producer Evan has up his sleeve to close out another week here on the program. We will do it next. It's the lunch break, KDUS AM 1060.
Hey listeners, Vince DeLisio here. In honor of Pat's Run, this week is Pat Tillman Week on the Varsity Sports Show. Join us Saturday morning as we broadcast live next to the statue inside the north end of Mountain America Stadium. In addition to our amazing live guest coaches joining us, our team will be presenting stories about Pat Tillman. It's the Varsity Sports Show, Pat Tillman Week, Saturday morning from 9 to 11 on AM 1060, KDUS, Arizona.
At Shane Company, we love a spring engagement, but you might be wondering, how do I find the perfect engagement ring? As a trusted family jeweler since 1929, we get asked this a lot. We have a wide selection of ring settings, like vintage designs with romantic details, floral settings inspired by nature, and classic styles with clean lines and sleek metals. Dreaming of the most beautiful diamond you've ever seen? At Shane Company, we handpick only the sparkliest center stones in all shapes and sizes, from oval to round to marquise, and more. We have gorgeous natural and lab-grown diamonds at competitive prices, in-store, ready to compare side by side. Drawn to certain colors? We're known for our rainbow of vivid natural sapphires, including shades of blue, straight out of a fairy tale, handpicked by our owner, Tom Shane. At Shane Company, we have the best free lifetime warranty that includes the center stone, plus resizing, repairs, and cleanings for life. Visit us at shaneco.com or in store. No appointment necessary. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
The legacy continues. Pantera. The heaviest tour of the summer. Tearing up Talking Stick Resort Amphitheater, August 26th. With Amon Amarth. On sale now at LiveNation.com. Part of the America First Credit Union Concert Series.
Matazel Hotel and Casino is giving away a 2025 Jeep Willys 4x4 and your share of $6,000 this spring. Earn entries by earning 200 base points through April 23rd. Weekly drawings every Wednesday from 5 to 8 p.m. The grand prize drawing will be on April 30th from 4 to 9 p.m. See Players Club for details. Don't miss your chance to win. Only at Matazel Hotel and Casino in Payson. Just a short scenic drive from the valley. Matazel Hotel and Casino, Arizona's friendliest casino.
The Sun Devils will look to start a Big 12 winning streak as they head out to Cincinnati to take on the Bearcats. The voice of the Sun Devils, Tim Healy, has you covered with pregame starting at 2:45 p.m. on KAZG 1440 AM with first pitch at 3. It's the Sun Devils and the Bearcats in a Big 12 conference bash on 1440 KAZG and online at KDUS1060.com/Sun Devils.
Welcome back to the show. Last segment of the week. We close out today's edition the way we close out every edition of the program with the leftovers. If you missed anything from the show, just make sure you check out the podcast, The Lunch Break, wherever you get your podcasts. Both hours go up there so you can catch up on anything that you missed. This is where we hand the show over to producer Evan. By the way, great week. This is first real full week for you producing the program. Last week we had you in training. You were hanging out with producer Corey. Your first full week, I'd say a B- job. I won't give you the A+ early because then I think, I don't know how motivated you'll be next week. So we'll go B- for the first week.
I'll take B-.
Excellent job.
But in week number 1, full week.
Yeah. So this is your segment. You drive the bus here. I have no idea what's coming except probably a Masters update, but all the stories that we didn't get to that you want to hear my reaction to, you just throw them out there. So take it away, my friend.
All right, we're going to start with a Masters update.
Oh, yes, we are, because we better talk about our boy today.
Justin Rose, 8 under.
Boy.
He is
Not
done at the leaderboard.
Not our boy,
Bryson
Justin Rose. Not our boy.
DeChambeau finished up today at 4 under.
Nope, not our boy.
He is at 7 under.
Nope.
But today is winner of the day
Our
at 6
boy.
under.
Yes.
Rory McIlroy climbs into tied for third with Corey Connors and Scotty Scheffler, who's just threw 8 and 2 under today. That's scary for the entire board.
A huge back nine for Rory. Hit a couple of great shots, had a huge eagle putt, had a nice par save on 16. Just an excellent back nine from Rory today to make some noise. He was even going into the day behind everybody. Thought there was no chance. And at one point we were watching, he made the turn and I said, listen, you get to 4 under, you get to 5 under, you're going to be hanging around, right? You're going to be close. Rory said, watch out. I got you. No worries. 6 under is where I'll submit my scorecard for the day. Now he's just 2 back of the lead right now. So
he hit a few shots today, a few recoveries that were just like vintage Tiger.
Oh, his
I don't even know
today
how
was
else to
good.
describe it other than vintage Tiger. He hit a shot out of the woods and put it within 8 feet and made the putt for birdie. That was so insane. He went over everything.
I watched that shot in real time and I ran down here to your studio and I said, dude, you got to find this shot. He hit a shot where he had an iron in his hand and he was looking at it and I'm trying to figure out what he's looking at. There's 2 big trees. I'm like, dude, there's not an angle. There's not a pathway for you to hit this shot. He goes back to the bag. He takes out a wedge of some kind, looking for more loft. He just picks this thing clean off the pine straw and doesn't. Because you know how when you hit those shots, you kind of are expecting the noise of it clipping the tree or a branch or something, and there was just nothing.
I think we're expecting the noise of it
Right.
clipping
He
a tree.
wasn't.
He probably wasn't.
He knew exactly what he was doing, but I was anticipating the noise, and he just picked it clean, landed it within, 12 feet. Just a fantastic shot. He had a great round, so looking forward to keeping tabs on that over the weekend.
Sticking with the Masters, Arizona State amateur and top 5 amateur in the world, Jose Ballester, had quite the day yesterday.
Yeah, let's be careful with how we talk about this. Let's just make sure we don't get ourselves into any trouble. He did not score well on the scorecard and also embarrassed himself. He needed to take a potty break.
Yes.
And he took a potty break in a weird spot. That's all I'm going to say.
And then also I want to talk about his hat. So he wore the hat that I have. Which is an upside down Sun Devils hat, but he was getting killed for it. Like, you just can't wear that at the Masters.
Well, and today, you and I noticed he was dressed in all black, and he had a black hat with the black pitchfork on it. So he certainly took to the criticism, and he had a different outfit today. He's not doing well. Last time I checked, he was 2 over for the day, so it doesn't look like he is going to make the cut, which is disappointing.
Yes, I don't think he's going to make the projected cut at 2 over.
Yeah, no, 2 over is the projected cut. He is sitting right now at 6 over, 2 over for the day through 8.
He's going to need a big end. Big finish.
Big
here.
back nine, huge back. A Rory type back nine is what he's going to need.
Ja Morant, he's done it again. He has done it again. So last night hit a 3, bit it like the pin out of a fake grenade and threw it into the crowd. And then covered his ears.
I cannot, because we talked about this last week on the Leftovers when he did the finger gun.
Yes, yeah.
Celebration. And you just got to read a room better than that, Ja. Then he got fined for the celebration, and then has proceeded to show that he doesn't care, because I'm here to tell you he's getting fined for that one too. He's getting fined for that. Adam Silver is not going to be like, you know what? Nice job, Ja. That was funny. You got me. I'm not going to fine you. He's getting slapped with a fine. To me, that is just immaturity at its finest. And I don't know if that's what went wrong in Memphis. I think Ja and his inability to stay on the court while he was dealing with all the stuff away from the court was a major factor to them not reaching their potential. But he comes back from all of that. The coach gets fired, and this is what he's doing. I just think it's immaturity. I think it's a really bad look, and I don't know where they go from here. I don't, because this – it just looks like somebody who doesn't understand the seriousness of the stuff that he was dealing with, the stuff that he was, suspended for, and is kind of making light of it. And to me, that's not somebody I want leading my basketball team.
It also, to me, creates the conversation of, is this why you move on from your head coach? Is it having to do with the inability to control a guy like Ja Morant?
Well, Charles Barkley joked on TNT last night that the one guy who was happy out of that celebration last night was Taylor Jenkins, so that he doesn't have to deal with this stuff anymore.
Yeah.
And everybody on the panel kind of laughed because Chuck made a good point. And it's just, I don't know, man. I don't know what that looks like this summer with Taylor Jenkins leaving and then needing a new coach and needing somebody that's going to get along with Ja. I don't know. I don't know. And the immaturity of Ja, that's the word that I would use to describe it. It's just somebody who is still acting like they're in high school and can get away with this stuff. He's going to get slapped with another fine, guaranteed.
Okay, so my new thing with the Leftovers, last question of the day is going to be about a different team in the NFL draft for you.
Okay, I love this.
So today's, we'll start with the Browns. And with them signing Flacco in the offseason, the question is, will they forego a quarterback at number 2?
Well, don't be disrespectful, okay? Because they also traded for Kenny Pickett. So
yes, Super Bowl champion.
Right. So
Kenny Pickett. He threw a pass in the Super Bowl.
Right. So let's be respectful. Okay. They've got Kenny Pickett. They have Deshaun Watson. They have Joe Flacco. I don't know who else is in that quarterback room. You asked me, do I think they are going to take a quarterback or pass on a quarterback with the second overall pick? All of the noise externally points to them taking Travis Hunter. Honestly, I would have a tough time passing on Shedeur Sanders if I was them. Really. You got the Myles Garrett situation figured out. I think we all agree that their roster isn't terrible.
No, it's not that bad.
It's a roster where if you got average, slightly above average quarterback play, you're probably in the mix in the AFC North. You're probably in the mix for an AFC wildcard spot. So unless you just, for whatever reason, do not think Shedeur Sanders is it, you don't think he's the guy, you have to have conviction that you love a quarterback prospect. And maybe they only loved Cam Ward. Maybe Cam Ward was the only quarterback that they liked. He's not going to be there at number 2. He's going number 1. So would I pass on a quarterback at number 2 if I was Cleveland? I'm not a big Shedeur guy, so maybe I would, but it just feels weird that in a class that we think there's 2 quarterbacks, that a quarterback-needy team at number 2 isn't going to take a quarterback. And I know this will probably be a future Leftovers. You have a team at 3 that also doesn't seem interested in taking Shedeur at quarterback in the New York Giants.
I know. I think it's really interesting to see both teams need a quarterback. Both teams are willing to pass. And that explains, or that expresses the question, how much do they love Arch.
Well, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this conversation about loving Arch and tanking. The 2025 draft isn't even here yet. I'm not talking about tanking for the 2026 draft. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
But if you're the Browns and you want to end this curse or whatever they're calling it, take a Manning.
That's going to do it for this edition of The Lunch Break. Appreciate everybody joining us. Jim Rome is coming up next. Producer Evan, thank you for all that you do. Everybody, have a great rest of your Friday. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you on Monday. See ya!